Hello, hello. Welcome to Unravel and Uplift. It's Wednesday. We're coming to you with another episode. And today we want to talk about a feeling of, have you ever opened your banking app, stared at it for like 3 seconds, and then immediately closed it and thought, future me cannot emotionally handle what I just saw?
Or walked into Target for toothpaste and somehow left with dry shampoo, magnesium powder, wrinkle patches, a birthday card, a candle called Coastal Escape, and a vague sense that your financial future is unraveling.
That's exactly the energy of the episode that we're going to talk about today. Because today we are unraveling why so many women feel financially exhausted right now.
I mean, thank goodness for Target pickup is all I'm going to say, because I feel like that helps somewhat
Right.
curb the, oh, I'm just going to put that in my car. That's for sure. So
Yes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So again, welcome to Unravel and Uplift, the podcast where we unravel messy, complicated, and real parts of middle life.
And uplift each other with honesty, perspective, humor, and practical ways forward.
We're your host, Jen Mills,
Okay.
and the wonderful Claire Evans. And today we're kicking off something really important to us, our new Money Unraveled series.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be like one of two, because there's a lot to unravel with money, and we wanted to give it all the time it deserves.
Well, and I think we started down this route of let's talk about this, and then we realized, oh my goodness, there's so many different segments.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we want to give justice to each of those different areas and give some good time. So this series is not about becoming Wall Street experts, and we are no experts either. We are just human beings living in this consumer world. But it's real conversations around money stress, burnout, emotional spending, financial confidence, starting over, relationships and money, investing, wellness culture, retirement anxiety, and redefining what wealth actually means for women at this stage of life.
And before we jump in, I'm just going to say one more time for all the legalities out there, we are not financial experts, hardly. This is not investment advice. We are two women having researched, like, honest conversations using insights from many experts, but on books and podcasts to bring this podcast together. So we have Morgan Housel, we have Ramit Sethi, we have Tori Dunlap, David Bach, and Simran Kerr. So there's a lot of experts in this space. A lot of these experts bring a different vibe to their financial guidance. So we'll touch on those in the episode, and we'll link their books and resources at the end of this podcast. All right.
Yeah, certainly not experts. Certainly not experts, but we're living and breathing this right now. It is, I feel like we're in a world where everything just feels really expensive right now.
Yes.
Part of me is like, oh my goodness, is this that whole point where you realize, oh, my parents used to say this,
right,
and I've become them.
We're feeling old.
Yeah. So, there may be a context there as well, as that we just have started to actually live that reality that I think probably kicks in for people around this point. But honestly, I think if we can take a second just to acknowledge right now how expensive everything feels, like gas, groceries, insurance, utilities, kids' activities, coffee, healthcare, college, and even a quick Target run can somehow cost you $147.
Oh, easily. Yeah. Like, why all of a sudden is deodorant a luxury item?
Right.
Have you seen the price of deodorant? It's
I know.
$10, $12, $15.
Yeah. And it's also overwhelming when you go in store to see all of these different varieties available now as well. And what should I and shouldn't I be putting on my body and in my body?
Yeah.
But seriously, I do feel like you walk out of the grocery store with chicken, berries, oat milk, paper towels, and then suddenly you're considering financial options.
Right. Yeah.
I know when I go to Costco, I call Nick and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just managed to drop X amount at Costco.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary.
It is kind of scary.
But we have to eat, we have to eat. We have to have toiletries.
Right.
We have to have these things in life to be able to function and sustain.
Right.
But
it just seems like it's a simple purchase has now turned into a big financial decision, right? So let's unwrap that. And it's not just in our heads, right? So the recent inflation data shows consumer prices are continuing to rise year over year. We know that. We feel that in our wallet, right? Especially around food, utilities, insurance, and everyday essentials.
And while inflation sounds like this abstract economic term, women feel it in everyday life. At the gas pump, at the grocery store, opening another insurance bill, trying to feed teenagers.
Oh, that's a big one.
Oh my goodness.
They eat a
Yeah.
lot. They eat a lot.
And it's like, it's wonderful that I can reload the like school bucks
Yes.
for them to be able to buy their food independently at school. But, you know, I've even had to have a conversation about, okay, let's buy a meal.
Right.
Because the meal deals are better than, hey, if you just buy a yogurt parfait.
Right.
Yogurt parfait is like $5. The meal deal is $5.
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, kind of even educating our kids this, you know, that make the smarter choice financially.
Yes.
Trying to survive midlife without a financial panic attack. Like, I feel like our garage broke the other day and it's like $500.
Right.
$500 to fix the garage. And like, they're unplanned, you know, things happen, things where, you know, you're a house owner, these things do, but it's still oh my goodness.
Yeah, all those unplanned expenses on top of already constraint and buying because everything's so expensive.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's why, you know, women feel so financially exhausted right now, because it's not just how do I manage money? It's how do I emotionally sustain this level of pressure all the time?
Yeah. Yeah. And just making those, I feel as well, like I don't feel like I'm time rich. So I feel like I sometimes make poor financial decisions because I'm not time rich, because I don't have the time to think something through that I would like to.
Because it just needs to be done. You gotta check the box.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like the perfect example is in our area, there's definitely grocery stores that are way more expensive than others. But do I have time to go to 3 grocery stores? So then you just sort of bite the bullet and you're like, okay, that was $8 for a box of cereal. And you're just like cringe when you put it in your cart. But it's the time, money. Yeah, it's all those things that you have to try to justify to yourself.
I always feel like I get those mailers through once a week, you know, of all the local grocery stores and what their offers are. I wish I had time to look at them, to collect the coupons, and then to formulate a shopping list to go do that, because I feel like, wow, that would be really sensible.
Yeah.
But yeah. I honestly think women are not just financially stressed right now, though, that we're like financially overstimulated.
100%. Every part of life comes with a cost, a subscription, an upgrade, a hidden fee, or a limited time offer.
And we're often managing groceries, kids, aging parents, household logistics, healthcare, wellness, retirement planning, emotional labor. And like then throw in things like travel as well.
Yeah, travel,
whether
college
that be
planning.
all of those like financial pieces. The dog, our dog costs us so much money. Not that I would change that, because love our dog, but you start realizing how expensive a dog is. And it's all at the same time.
Yeah. So Bankrate found that more than 40% of adults say money negatively impacts their mental health, and women report this more than men. And honestly, that feels believable. Yeah. Okay, so true story. I went to Target the other day for like dry shampoo, and I left with, we talked about this, I left with a cart full of things that I thought I needed that were truly on my list. These weren't like impulse buys, but graduation cards, wrinkle patches when I go to those grad parties, snacks, a planner to get my life in order, right? Maybe a throw pillow that I really didn't need, but it was bringing me peace at the moment, you know? So I did throw that in the cart. So that's a lot. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I feel like Target is emotional support, right? With fluorescent lighting and that wonderful like image of like, yeah, you hit the bullseye. You came here today.
Well, especially now that you can get your Starbucks and have a cup holder.
I know.
You can have like this moment where you're, you know, by yourself, you have your tea or your coffee, you're strolling through the stores, being inspired or being talked into things you don't need. Like, it's a trap.
It's interesting.
It's a lovely trap.
It's interesting you mentioned Starbucks, because that's one thing that Nick and I actively cut out a couple of years ago, except for if we're traveling or like we're going to like a tournament where we'll do that. But we bought a special espresso machine, and we now make our coffees at home because we sat down and we realized how much we were spending every day on Starbucks.
And I think for you and I, we're not coffee drinkers, we're tea drinkers. So legit at Target, they are putting, or Starbucks, they're putting the tea bag in the hot water and they say $7.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's
that
true.
wasn't even barista. That took no skill set, no measuring, nothing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, the robbery. Now, sometimes I'll get a latte, tea latte.
Yeah.
I'll get a matcha latte, which I enjoy. But when the math starts mathing and you think about the simplicity of the
Yeah.
drinks that we drink
Mhm.
sometimes, and I'm like, girl,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Well, and even my daughter, like she likes all the concoctions that Starbucks has, like the unicorn fufu
Yeah.
sprinkle,
Yeah.
whatever. But she started making them herself.
Mm-hmm.
Like we will go and we will buy the ingredients, like some coconut milk and some refresher, something, and she'll make them herself. And she's probably getting 20 drinks for the same price that you would pay for one or two.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's being mindful of that,
it
right?
is. It is. Those little tweaks can help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
but like honestly, that moment we realize that sometimes the cart isn't full of things, it's full of unmet needs. Yeah, that's a whole other podcast session.
It is.
Get into.
But that
Your
emotional
therapist about your unmet needs and how you bury it with shopping.
Yeah, but it's true. Emotional shopping is real.
Like that
really is.
I was feeling that. It felt summery. Like I'm like, yes, I need a new vibe in my stale house. I think that was $25 I need to spend.
But it makes you feel good in the moment, right?
Yeah.
There's something about that.
Yeah.
So women are sold perfection, then blamed for buying it. I mean, I remember even as a younger woman watching the adverts for like Chanel and and everyone looks so glamorous and
it's a vibe.
it
is.
It is.
Yeah, and it's an escape.
It is. Total escapism.
Yeah. Like I remember when September 11th happened, and I was in the beauty industry at that point, and I was a buyer for a department store, and the whole business the next day, like the whole week was down because no one was going to the stores, right? But beauty was flat. And first of all, we're like, how do we have flat numbers? Meaning that they did the same volume as last year. And women went to the chair and they sat down and they got foundation matched and they maybe wanted to try a lipstick. And there is that escape, I think, especially for women, that it is a way to take it away. I'm going to age myself here, but here in the States, there used to be a bath product called Calgon. And this lady would pour it into the tub. It was like these bath salts. And she would lay in the tub and she would say, Calgon, take me away. But that is.
Where was Calgon taking her?
Where she wants to go. It could be in her mind, Target for a throw pill. I don't know where it's taking her, but there is those moments of those treats where you need an escape and you will invest a few dollars. Maybe sometimes it's more dollars, but like those rewards for women are powerful.
They are.
So we'll tap into that a little bit today. We'll talk about that next time because our next episode as well, because there is an emotional part of buying.
Yeah.
And then there can also be an emotional part of the guilt.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Like when you go buy yourself a new clothing item that you actually don't need, but it makes you feel so good. Really does.
Yeah.
Really
we've
does.
all been there.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah. So this is where Ramit Sethi, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Say that right? Okay.
Ramit Sethi.
Sethi, yes. Completely changed how we think about money. So his book is very powerful. He also has a podcast, which is phenomenal, where he talks one-to-one about people who are having a money issue, or he consults couples, which is interesting because you and your significant other can definitely be a house divided on where you are on money. So if you have time outside of Unravel and Uplift podcast, tune into his podcast because there is a lot of good nuggets within his content. But he talks about how money is emotional before it's mathematical. So emotional before it's mathematical, which totally checks with me. I totally understand that. So honestly, it makes so much sense for women, like we just said, of why we give ourselves these little treats or these little, splurges.
It's so interesting though as well, isn't it? When you look at every different household and who manages the finances. Like I do, just because Nick isn't as good at managing. So therefore I do that piece because I'm just stronger at it. But also how we think about money. Like I don't think bad about spending it on travel, whereas he's like, really, we're spending that on travel? Just like just your different priorities, just your different emotional attachments and what you put as significant and important.
Yeah, for sure.
But women are not avoiding money because they're lazy. They're avoiding it because it feels overwhelming, emotionally loaded, scary, shameful, and confusing. Like, yeah, there are so many emotions that go with money,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and just in society, like these expectations that you have to have this.
Yeah.
If you don't have this, you are failing in life,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know?
Especially when social too is throwing it in your
Yeah.
face. Like
Yeah.
you look up one thing and it is teasing you with it
Yeah.
everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Even if you're talking about it, it will all of a sudden it shows up here and it shows up there. And you're like, oh, maybe I need this.
Yeah.
And you can easily go down a rabbit hole. Like
Yeah.
the temptation is there a lot.
Yeah. And always just like that next level of, do I need a lake house?
Mm-hmm.
Do I need this? You know, I think back sometimes to when I spent 6 months traveling around Italy with just a backpack and slept in like tents and, you know,
Yeah.
because you did. And literally, I had really nothing,
Yeah.
you know, just clothes that I re-wore and because I had just this backpack. And I wasn't spending all this money, but yeah, I was so happy.
Right.
You know, and you kind of, I often think, wow, these folks that have got it all together in some ways, and that they're the simpler things in life,
Oh, definitely.
they're not spending this extortionate amount of money on this consumer environment.
Right.
Yet they're
And
so
still
happy.
having the great ending experience where
Yeah.
they had an impressionable moment.
Yeah.
They created a memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that without breaking the
Yeah.
bank.
You
Yeah. So
can.
I think that
Yeah.
that takes some discipline and some
It
reflection of
does.
like, what is the end
Yeah.
goal here? What am I
Yeah.
really looking for? Yeah. So Ramit talks about money scripts. So the invisible beliefs that we inherit growing up, things like money is stressful, women aren't good with money, wanting more money is selfish, you
Mhm.
should sacrifice for everyone else first.
Yeah. Or you hear, as long as everyone else okay, I'll figure myself out later. That one I feel like is very midlife women coded. Like
Yes.
even I'll be gifted gift cards from people
Hmm.
and it's bizarre. I probably end up spending that money on my kids
Oh,
instead,
for
you
sure.
know, and um because you just do, you just
Yeah.
don't think about yourself, you
Yeah.
know. It's like the kids need new shoes. Oh, I've got loads of shoes, I'm
Yeah.
fine. But I actually am all fine because I do have lots of shoes, you know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
And
like I
we've stopped growing in the
yeah,
department.
yeah,
So,
yes,
so,
yes. I
so,
stopped growing a very long time
right.
ago in the shoe department.
So then you justify those kind of things like, well, that can be for you. But I do think like going back to your upbringing
Mhm.
and maybe in the UK, I don't know if it's same or different. You can touch on that. But back in the day, the men handled the money
Yeah,
and they knew what was going on. And,
yeah.
and up until here in the States, until I think 1970 something, I can't remember. It was like mid 70s. Women couldn't get a credit card in their name. They couldn't get a
Wow.
loan.
Wow.
Right? And that's not that long
Yeah,
ago.
that isn't
Right.
that isn't.
So many women had to rely on their
Yeah.
husbands to get a loan or
Mhm.
to have credit in their name, which seems so flippin'
Yeah.
backwards. I mean, that is a scary fact.
It really is. I feel like when I moved to the States, one of the biggest noticeable differences I observed was that of the service culture.
Mhm.
So in the UK, people don't tend to go and eat out or
Mm,
drink out as much.
okay.
Um, you will cook and, you know, at home
Yeah.
instead. And it's for special treats going out
Mhm.
and eating. But also we don't rely on the service culture the way that you do here in the US and we don't tip.
Right.
So in the UK, you don't tip for things,
Right.
whereas here you do. And that's how a lot of people sustain an income.
Yeah.
So I think it's very different, you know, but we've adapted. Like
Yeah.
now
Well,
we'll
now
eat
we
out.
tip for everything.
Yeah.
It does. I mean,
Yeah.
you can get something for carry out and they're like,
Hmm.
oh,
Yeah.
would you like to leave a tip? And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I mean, I know that you helped, but like this
Yeah.
isn't the normal. Like, where does that stop?
I know. There's a
Right.
very fine line, isn't there, between
Yeah.
everything? There really is. Just going back to the feet thing, because something just cropped in my mind. I have very small hoofs. I do. So
Oops.
I know.
Why do you why do you associate yourself with cattle?
Because they're tiny. Everyone laughs at them. Even Joy said the other
Picture
day.
of them and next to
Even,
my large hooves.
oh my
So you
gosh.
can see how proportionately small they are.
So our friend Joy the other day was like, "Look at your tiny, cute little feet." Well, so that aside, my hoofs are very tiny. But it means that I've been able to wear kids' shoes or get the really discounted shoes the
Mhm.
whole of my life. So um when people tell me, I know, so when people tell me how much they spend on shoes, I'm like, how much? because I've never
That makes
had
a big
to.
difference.
It does.
When your kids go from like the kid size to
Yeah.
adults, it can be like
Yes.
$25, $30 more.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it just made me think about this with like the whole, like, you know,
Oops. Oops, guys. Welcome to my world of Claire Evans.
my tiny little hubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we are. Let's
I know.
engage.
Sorry, it's a big distraction there. So let's talk about the spiral, not this spiral down the hooves piece, but the actual spiral. That I should be further along by now. Oh my goodness, this one is something I feel like we all as women quietly carry. You know, it's very difficult to sit there and be like, oh, they have XYZ,
Yeah.
I don't. Or someone makes a comment that doesn't even, it's just a very casual comment. And you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so behind.
Yeah.
Like so behind.
Yeah. Especially around retirement, investing in
Mhm.
college as our kids are embarking on that
Yeah.
journey. You hear someone like casually mention Roth
Oh my
IRA, I suddenly feel like you've missed the
Yeah.
orientation for adulthood, right? And I think when your kids are born, you're like, oh yeah, we're saving for college. We're
Mhm.
saving. And then in a blink of the eye, they go from kindergarten to, graduating high school. And you're like, do we have enough saved? And
Mhm.
then the costs for the college and the relocation, or if
Yeah.
they're rushing for a sorority or a fraternity, like everything, all these hidden costs that you don't
Mhm.
realize. And you're just like, oh my goodness, like, how are we going to
Yeah.
afford this? And,
Yeah.
and then you think about retirement and, maybe helping your aging parents and
Mhm.
we don't have a money tree. And I'm like,
No.
where is this going to come from? And I find myself having those like, I need an inhaler. I need a
Yeah.
paper bag moment, because how are you going to account for
Mhm.
all of these areas that you thought you had planned for, but were, for me, surprised by just how much is needed to do all that.
And it's so different in the UK as well, because we didn't, well, we have state pensions.
Mhm.
And you also don't pay, well, you do pay some tuition fees for college now, but it's nowhere like the fees they are here.
Yeah.
So we never talked about preparing for college. So when we moved here with Noah at 4 and Safi at 2,
Mhm.
like saving for college was like this brand new thing that we were like, oh,
Yeah.
what do we do? You know, it was like a whole new idea and concept that we hadn't even given any consideration to
Right.
before. And it is overwhelming. It
Mhm.
really is, because kudos to anyone who has it figured out and have all of those savings for their kids at college. But I feel like you have to start the minute they are born,
Yes. Yeah.
you
And
know?
it's not
And
whatever you're
yeah,
doing, double
yeah,
up.
yeah,
Yeah. If you
yeah.
can afford to, because it is insane. And maybe you're lucky if you have kids who can get scholarships
Hmm.
because of their sports or because
Yeah.
of their education. And I have learned there is a lot of money out
Hmm.
there, but it
Hmm.
does take a lot of time
Yeah.
to apply for those things and know when to do it and to make sure they qualify. It's a
Well,
lot.
and then just the ever increasing cost of living as well, right? That's the other piece here as
Yeah.
well, is that you may have planned 20 years ago that you were putting X amount in each month for your kid, and now the price of inflation is now skyrocketed
Yeah.
that, you know, so it's hard.
Yeah.
So this is where Morgan Housel is incredibly comforting. One of his biggest ideas is doing more with money is less about intelligence. Yeah, I'll take that. And more about behavior. I can adapt my behavior.
Right. And that
And do something
statement
about
is
that.
so freeing,
Hmm.
because I think as women, we're always like, oh, I'm bad at this and
Hmm.
I can't manage the money. And, there's all these stereotypes around women and money. And that's when really, like many women, were simply never taught like
Yeah.
the financial confidence or in a relatable, approachable way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's just important to know that you're not bad with money. You may have never been taught how to feel safe with money.
Mhm.
You know, there is that safety factor that comes into this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to move on into like the exhaustions of that
Hmm.
responsibility with money. Like we've touched on it, but we're going to dig a little deeper. And that's where I think like a lot of women are listening, that we're tired of being responsible and responsible for everybody at the same time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Responsible for remembering everything, planning everything, emotionally managing everything, and financially anticipating everything. And I think we touched upon this in the last few weeks in
Yes.
terms of things like managing the calendar, having all the apps open at
Yeah.
once.
All those tabs in your mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Just,
and
yeah.
all those tabs, mostly like your to-do list, they can relate back to money.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a full
Yeah.
circle. Yeah.
Well, then add in also like the the things that come at this point in life for us hormonally as well, in that we have the brain fog. We may be not firing on all four cylinders because we're tired and, going through our own change physically, emotionally. So it's just a lot, to kind of, throw in there.
Right. And the sync up of maybe what you manage with your partner if you have kids, right? So like sometimes my husband and I are like just two passing ships in the night, right? Like I'm going down one path, he's going another. I'm like, oh, did you sign up for that camp? Oh, did you send the fees for the soccer coach? Oh, did you do that? And like, you're just shelling out money here, shelling out money there, getting ready for, camps and all the things that need to happen this summer. And like the money is just flying out of the bank account as you plan for those things. And he doesn't always have a pulse on what I've spent. I don't have a pulse on what he's spent. And like, are you sitting down to connect and say, oh, let's talk about the budget? Like, you're just hoping that you're paying the bills and that money that you have in the bank is there to pay them.
Well, and it's like, I feel like December and Maycember, because now it's no longer called May, it's called Maycember.
Right.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
It is.
It is ridiculous because, like you say, you're like almost paying out things for the summer in May. And then December, it's like you are preparing for those holidays that have to be perfect.
Right.
And we just need. And then it's, oh, so-and-so got this gift. Oh, I need to go buy a gift.
Yeah.
It's like half the time you don't realize that you need a gift for the event you're going to.
Yes. It just all adds up.
It does.
And so that burnout feels different when your paycheck is helping you hold your whole life together, right?
Yeah.
So when you're trying to budget or you're paying those bills, when you look at that bank account, I mean, that burnout is real for sure.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I feel like most corporate firms and smaller firms do like financial budgeting and planning, like once a year. And it's almost like maybe we need to be doing that, like that whole like financial, let's make this our financial year.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the calendar year, like the firm I work for doesn't run on a true calendar year.
Yeah, you can start tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you start making that your financial review time. So
That's
you can
really
actually, start doing that. Pew Research found that over half of Americans in their 40s are financially supporting children while also helping aging parents. I mean, that sandwich generation is real.
The emotional support generation, right?
Yeah.
That sandwich generation where everybody needs something from me generation, whether it's your kids on one side, it's your parents on the other. Yeah, that's a real feeling.
It is. And that's a real true balance, isn't it? Of just, oh, my financial situation is no longer just me and my partner or just me.
Right.
It's me plus, 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 plus.
Yeah.
Yep. One of my favorite Ramit concepts is defining your rich life. So not social media's version, your version.
And I love this because it goes back to what you were talking about when you were backpacking in Italy, right? Where just because like maybe your life isn't luxury handbags or anti-aging everything, a big, beautiful giant house, a lake house. Maybe it's like breathing room, flexibility, less stress, help around the house, freedom to leave a toxic job, and just like that peace. So I like by definition, you have to define what your rich luxury life means, right? What's your rich life? And like I think about retirement. I don't know when that's going to be, but let's say retirement one day. And I'm like, I've always wanted a beach house. But honestly, it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be on the beach. Like I would just like to look over some water.
Yeah.
It could be a lake. It could be like a big, huge pond. Like just that moment of tranquility to say, what is a reality for me? Is it going to be this luxe beach house, on the shores of XYZ? Maybe not. That may not be in the cards for us. Or maybe a lake house isn't, or a house with water is not in the cards for us, but maybe it's a couple really nice vacations, or long weekends where I can experience that. So I think that that's where you need to come to terms with what does that rich life mean to you, right?
And everyone's got those individual uniqueness to that as well, haven't they? Those images.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I was reading the other day about a couple who decided not to buy the retirement home somewhere and relocate wherever they were going to be, say Florida or something. They actually spent the money on going on cruise after cruise, and they saved so much money.
Yes.
And they're like, we get to travel the world.
Yeah.
they're happy with the cruise boat being their like home setup and
Yeah.
not having permanent roots somewhere. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And they figured out it was way more cost effective and are living their best lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess if you work that system, right? Like for every trip you take on, you probably get points back. You pull that over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah. It's smart.
yeah, maybe we're going to be cruisers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know.
Stay tuned.
I haven't been on a cruise yet, so I
haven't either.
I cannot judge. So
Yeah.
cannot judge what that's like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think really maybe your rich life isn't actually luxury. Maybe it's just breathing room.
Yeah. Yeah. Finding those moments of peace, and it doesn't always have to equate to a huge financial investment. Yeah, for sure. Okay. So now we're going to uplift this conversation because that's what we do around here. And and make it not sound like just budget better. It's that easy. Just budget better.
Because it is not that easy.
Right. Because no one needs that energy today. Like that's just one of those comments that like easier said than done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like we all don't need another lecture. We just actually need some relief from this.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So one of the easiest ways to reduce financial overwhelm is to do a subscription audit. So half of us are accidentally funding things that we don't even realize that we're doing. So it could be streaming services, meditation apps, skincare auto ships, guilty as charged, workout apps, meal delivery, random free trials that we signed up for, like at like 11 o'clock at night when you're like halfway asleep, and then they're still continuing to charge you after that 14-day free trial. And Claire and I have a story behind that.
We do. We went to a wellness event and tried a cold plunge. We then were told we needed to provide our credit card details just so that we could have a week's free trial, and they just needed it.
Yeah. And this place hadn't opened yet. It was like a pre-grand opening. So
it wasn't opening for like another 6 months.
Yeah,
so we were
a
like,
lot of time passed.
Yeah. And then suddenly I'm like, I've got a big subscription fee going out every month on my credit card. I was like, what is that for? And I text Jen, is like, I'm getting this thing. I think it's for this cold plunge place. She was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, they had literally told us inadvertently that they were not going to be taking any money from us, but they'd charged us the monthly subscription. We'd not heard anything from them. So there was nothing faster for me than realizing that I was funding something I wasn't using.
Right.
And they were still financially thriving. And I was like, where is this like $90 going every month?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You like these things happen, and if you're not paying attention to where the money's going, like that could if Claire hadn't called me, that could have went on forever. Like who knows?
Yeah.
Right.
But I was also just so shocked, like that actually, you hand over your details sometimes saying whether they're not going to charge it, and then they do. Like, so I think you just have to be careful.
Yeah. And even like on my phone, I'll sign up for like an app, and it will have like a monthly charge of like $2. And then I sort of forget about that app or something. And then I'll go on there and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've been paying for this app for a year and I don't even use it anymore. Right. So it's like those little sneaky leaks in your finances that can really like sneak up on you. So a great tool with that is, maybe you've heard of it. There is an app called Rocket Money. So the app is free and it tracks, you link it up to your like credit card or your bank account or whatever. And it tracks like your subscriptions, reoccurring charges, monthly spending, and then it helps you see where your money is quietly leaking out every month, right? And that's like super insightful. I had I think like, I don't even know, before COVID, I had signed up for Consumer Reports, right? Like before, like we were Googling like everything, because that was the end to say, which washer and dryer should I really get? Is that really the best vacuum? Like I needed that information at that point. I've been paying for Consumer Reports for like 6 years. Thank you, Rocket Money, for telling me that I've been paying for that. And this other odds and ends that they're like, hey, red flag lady, wake up and smell the coffee.
But you don't realize, because you do sign up and then you forget about it, because again, we're so busy. And sometimes it's not one huge expense, like those 7 tiny subscriptions, duplicate streaming services. I mean, the way that it has changed now, from instead of just paying one provider for your television shows and movies, it's now you have all of these different apps and each app has different shows. I'm like, oh my goodness, I bet if I looked at how much we were spending on that, we would be appalled. Wellness apps. especially COVID. You, like you say, you sign up for these apps, you're trying to be well.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wild.
There's
And
so
then
many things.
forgotten auto renewals. Oh my goodness, yeah. But they're all quietly draining your account.
Yep. Yeah. So be mindful of
Yeah.
that. Check it out. Look to see where your money's going.
Yeah.
Maybe try one of these apps that's out there to help you with that. But yeah, that's an eye opener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one I do myself, and I also do encourage my kids to do. And it's the 24-hour cart pause. Like especially around the emotional spending. Do you really need it? Put it in the cart, leave it for 24 hours, and then see if you've remembered it or if it's still important. I'm always saying this to my kids, like, okay, they're like, I need this. I'm like, do you?
Yeah.
Let's put it there. Let's
Yep.
put it there and see. I can tell you the amount of stuff I actually move from that Amazon cart into later is a good percentage because we do this 24-hour, like, let's just wait and see.
That's really smart. Yeah. Like, and then you have to figure out, like, where was that coming from?
Yeah.
Like, we talked about that emotional buying. Like, were you putting things in your cart because maybe you just needed rest or you needed comfort or you needed a distraction or you needed that dopamine, that instant feel good feeling, right? Or that emotional recovery and not maybe that matching workout set that we thought we needed. And I always tell like my kids, we don't do the 24-hour, but it's the same premise. I say, well, when in doubt, live without. Like if you are not loving this item, like a shirt or whatever, and like, I don't know, like if you're doubting it at all, put it back. Because otherwise you buy it and it's one of those things that hangs in your closet. You didn't love it, but you bought it because you like, well, I need something to wear for this event, or I just have nothing to wear in my closet. And we've talked about that on the episode. I'm very guilty of doing that. So when in doubt, live without. And if you're still thinking about it the next day, like that, like, oh God, those shoes were so amazing, then maybe go back and get them. But just think before you spend.
Pause. Yeah.
Think before you spend.
We had this even last night. Safia had bought a couple of pairs of shorts off Amazon. One of them fit perfectly. The other ones were exactly the same brand, exactly the same style, but they fit differently.
Right.
And I was like, then don't keep them. She's like, well, I could put them in the washer and shrink them. I'm like, but why? Why would you do that? Just return them, find a different pair, But it's this whole, I think, that society's need of, oh, my friends have it, so therefore I need to have it. And it's,
Yeah.
And then also, like, do you need, I know we talked about last week, your essential pieces, buying a couple of them so that, like I'm talking your black leggings, right?
Right. Your basic core go-to items that are timeless. Yeah.
Having a couple of those for sure. But then there's other things where you're like, I should buy 5 of those. No, don't.
Yeah.
And because you'll soon learn what the things are that you need the second of, the duplicate of. So,
for sure. So, and if you go down those paths of those buying decisions, right? And some you're going to feel guilty about, some maybe you thought you justified, but maybe not. Like, I think that women don't need more shame around money. They need more approachable conversations.
Yeah. I really do feel like that's one of the biggest takeaways of this today.
Yeah.
That we're not, as women, we're not financially failing. We're carrying an enormous amount emotionally, mentally, culturally, and financially.
Yeah. And so if you're feeling exhausted lately, you're not weak, you're not irresponsible, you're not beyond repair. You're just likely overwhelmed in a world asking women to do the optimization, to heal, to manage, to carry everything all at once.
Yeah.
The overload.
It's so interesting as well with the whole finance thing. It's like one of those where people are like, oh, don't talk about money. But it's almost like you have to, because if not, you're just in this spiral alone of just, should I be buying this? Should I not? I'm really bad with my finances.
And there's a lot of noise out there, right?
There is.
You'll hear people saying, "Oh, I do this," but that may not be for you. Or you have these experts on social media saying something else, and that may not be for you. So I think it is good to talk about money. I think that within this community, like we're going to share tips and tricks. We're going to share stories that we've been down, and we hope that you guys share them too, because let's face it, we don't need to work so hard. We can be smarter about this and help each other. And, if there's a resource out there or like this a true financial expert, we would love to have you on so you can help educate our community as well, right?
Yeah.
Like we have some really solid resources that we tapped into today for, that knowledge is power moment with you guys. But we would love to take this, deeper beyond this series. So.
And I think that's the thing. It's like you're not having to disclose what is actually in your bank account.
Right.
You're not having to disclose exactly what you earn. You know, you don't need to share any of that, but you can share tips and tricks and advice.
Yeah.
Like I pride myself on the fact we travel a lot, but we travel really affordably because I'm very smart about how I book those trips.
Yeah.
I make sure I book well in advance. I take advantage of all the points that I earn through the apps
regular
and
purchases.
things. Yeah. And so we probably look on the outside like, oh, wow, they have mega bucks because they travel.
Right.
No, I just am really frugal when it comes to travel.
And that takes time.
It does take time.
You have to be savvy. You have to look in and read the reviews and figure out, what's worth it, what's not.
But then I'm not savvy when it comes to buying like digital items or even grocery shopping. I feel like, I probably waste a lot of money on things because I don't apply the same approach that I do with travel,
Right.
So I think we can all share, definitely, as a community.
Yeah, definitely.
So next week, we're going to continue with our Money Unraveled series, and we're talking about something so many women, I think, need to hear. And it's not too late to start now.
Yeah, we're going to go deeper into investing, budgeting, financial freedom, retirement anxiety, starting over financially after 40, and how women can begin building wealth without shame or overwhelm.
We're not talking finance bro energy here. We're talking no judgment and just real conversation and approachable steps forward. So thanks for joining us again today for another episode of Unravel and Uplift.
Yeah. If today's conversation made you feel seen, understood, or a little less alone, we would love for you to follow us follow our podcast, share this podcast with a friend, and really helps us if you leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. That will just help us, spread the word.
Yeah. I think those ratings generally help more women find these conversations and they help us grow with this incredible community.
Yeah. So as a reminder, you do not need to fix your entire life overnight. One honest conversation, one small shift, one little bit of clarity at a time is, a step in the right direction.
And we hope to see you all again next week as we continue to unravel life
and uplift each other through it
together.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.